Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. Inside a restricted hangar, the RQ-4 Global Hawk looks less like a conventional aircraft and more like a flying laboratory built around endurance. Its long, glider-like wings stretch about 130 feet, wider than many manned fighters, while the bulbous nose houses, sensors, and communication equipment designed for high-altitude intelligence missions. Unlike a fighter that depends on speed and maneuver, the Global Hawk's strength is patience. It can climb above commercial traffic, remain on station for more than 30 hours, and scan huge areas while operators manage the mission from a ground control station. The aircraft was developed by Northrop Grumman as a high-altitude, long-endurance unmanned system for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Early RQ-4A models proved the concept, but the later RQ-4B brought a larger airframe, heavier payload capacity, and more advanced mission systems. The 2011 switchover from the RQ-4A to the RQ-4B marked a clear step forward as maintainers and crews prepared to retire one generation and accept a more capable platform for wider operational use. Production and unveiling events show why the hangar is such an important part of the Global Hawk story. Before the aircraft ever flies, technicians inspect composite surfaces, landing gear, wiring runs, antennas, sensor bays, engine access points, and control surfaces. The airframe is built for efficiency, not brute force. Its single turbofan engine pushes a slender fuselage and massive wings designed to conserve fuel at extreme altitude. Every panel and access door must be checked carefully because one small maintenance issue can affect a mission lasting longer than an entire day. The NATO Alliance Ground Surveillance Global Hawk unveiling added another chapter to the aircraft's story. The NATO AGS version was developed to give allied nations a shared eye in the sky, able to monitor wide regions from long range. Its mission is not to attack, but to collect information, build awareness, and help commanders understand what is happening across land and sea. That makes the aircraft valuable before a crisis, during a crisis, and after a crisis, when commanders need persistent surveillance instead of brief snapshots. The RQ-4's abilities depend on teamwork between pilots, sensor operators, maintainers, intelligence specialists, and communications crews. Pilots do not sit in the aircraft, but they still manage takeoff, climb, route, systems health, and recovery from a control station. Maintainers prepare the aircraft like any other military platform, checking tires, fuel, hydraulics, software, sensors, and engine condition. Intelligence crews then turn collected data into useful information. At roughly $220 million, depending on configuration, the Global Hawk is not a disposable drone. It is a strategic asset, built to fly far above weather and danger, watching over large areas with quiet persistence. From production floor to restricted hangar to runway, its mission begins long before the engine starts. Every cable test, fuel check, sensor inspection, and launch procedure supports one goal: keeping a powerful unmanned eye in the sky for as long as commanders need it. This is why hangar activity around the Global Hawk is slow and controlled. Crews move around the aircraft with toolkits, tow bars, ladders, and safety gear, treating the drone like a national-level reconnaissance platform rather than a small remote aircraft. The wings must be protected from ground strikes. The engine intake must remain clear, and the sensor areas must be kept clean. When the aircraft finally rolls out, the preparation already reflects hundreds of checks completed behind closed doors by specialists who understand its value. That careful routine is what allows such a large, unmanned aircraft to launch with confidence on every sortie. The Global Hawk belongs to a larger, unmanned aviation story that changed the way the US military watches and fights. One of the most important steps came with the MQ-1 Predator, a slender, remotely piloted aircraft that proved drones could do more than collect video. Early Predators were used mainly for surveillance, but the aircraft later became the first widely recognized armed drone. Able to carry precision weapons while still providing real-time observation from above. The MQ-1 changed the rhythm of air operations. Deployed Predators could be controlled during takeoff and landing by pilots near the operating area, then handed over to crews back in the United States through satellite links. This split control system allowed a small aircraft flying overseas to be managed across continents. Pilots, sensor operators, intelligence teams, and commanders could watch the same mission picture and respond quickly when a target appeared. The Predator's historical importance comes from this combination of persistence and precision. It could loiter for hours, follow movement, build a pattern of life, and strike only when crews were authorized. Earlier combat material demonstrates how the aircraft became associated with targeted attacks, but its real influence was broader. It pushed the Air Force to create new training pipelines, new remote cockpits, new maintenance methods, and new rules for aircraft that did not carry crews on board. That experience led directly into the larger MQ9 Reaper. Compared with the MQ-1, the MQ-9 is bigger, faster, stronger, and able to carry a heavier weapons load. At Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, training operations show the shift from a small surveillance aircraft with weapons to a purpose-built, remotely piloted combat platform. Crews learn to manage long missions from cockpit-like stations with screens, controls, radio communication, simulated emergencies, and sensor feeds. The pilot flies the aircraft, while the sensor operator manages cameras, lasers, tracking, and target coordination. The assembly process reveals how carefully the Reaper is prepared before flight. Technicians bring sections together, align the wings, connect control surfaces, inspect landing gear, test the engine, and secure mission equipment. The airframe may look simple, but every bolt, cable, and access panel must meet strict standards. A remotely piloted aircraft still needs traditional aircraft discipline. It must taxi, take off, climb, cruise, descend, and land safely, often after many hours in the air. Weapons loading adds another level of responsibility. Ground crews move carefully around the wings, prepare pylons, inspect munitions, connect guidance and release systems, and follow step-by-step safety procedures. The MQ9 can carry precision-guided weapons, including Hellfire missiles and laser-guided bombs, giving it the ability to attack vehicles, positions, or hostile fighters threatening friendly forces. During takeoff and landing, the aircraft uses a conventional runway, its narrow landing gear absorbing the final moments of a mission controlled from the ground. Live fire exercises, including Reaper missile launches during Northern Strike, show why the aircraft remains important to joint training. A target must be identified, tracked, cleared, and engaged with coordination between aircrew, range control, and ground forces. When the missile leaves the rail, the Reaper's long surveillance role turns into a precise strike function. Yet, even after launch, the crew continues watching, assessing effects, and reporting results. From Predator to Reaper, unmanned aviation became a full combat system, linking remote crews, maintainers, weapons teams, intelligence analysts, and commanders into one connected chain. For crews, this created a new culture of aviation. Aircraft maintained on the flight line, flown from distant consoles, and judged by the same standards of discipline expected from manned combat squadrons during real operations under pressure worldwide. Every single day, each mission. While the Air Force refined unmanned surveillance and strike, the U.S. Navy began building a different kind of drone for the sea. The MQ25 Stingray was designed not as a bomber or spy aircraft, but as an unmanned aerial tanker for aircraft carriers. Its mission is simple but extremely valuable. Give carrier-based fighters more fuel, more reach, and more time in the air without using another fighter as the tanker. The Navy's unmanned carrier aviation demonstration aboard USS George H.W. Bush in December 2021 laid the groundwork for this future. Bringing an unmanned aircraft prototype onto a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier is not a small achievement. The carrier deck is one of the most dangerous workplaces in the world. Packed with jets, rotors, tractors, fuel lines, weapons, blast deflectors, and sailors working only feet from turning engines. For the MQ-25 to succeed, it must fit into that crowded rhythm without slowing the air wing. The MQ-25's greatest impact comes during refueling. Today, FA-18 Super Hornets often perform the tanker role, carrying fuel pods to support other fighters. That keeps a combat-capable jet busy as a flying gas station instead of a strike fighter. By shifting part of that job to the Stingray, the Navy can free more manned aircraft for combat missions while extending the reach of the carrier air wing. A fighter that receives fuel from an unmanned tanker can fly farther from the carrier. remain on station longer, or return with safer fuel margins. The refueling process demands precision. The tanker maintains a steady course and speed. The hose and drogue extend behind it, and the receiving fighter carefully moves in until its probe connects with the basket. Once fuel begins flowing, both aircraft must hold stable positions despite turbulence, wake, and distance from the ship. With an unmanned tanker, that familiar aerial ballet becomes a new test of autonomy, remote supervision, and naval engineering. From the restricted hangar of the RQ-4 Global Hawk to the armed evolution from MQ-1 Predator to MQ-9 Reaper, and finally to the MQ-25 Stingray preparing to refuel carrier fighters at sea, unmanned aircraft have moved from experimental support tools to central military systems. They now watch, track, strike, refuel, and extend the reach of manned forces. The aircraft may have no pilot on board, but every mission still depends on human skill, maintenance, disciplined control, and hard lessons. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.